August is back to school and back to basics here at Christine Byer Aesthetics. We are talking about two of my favorite devices that I consider to be must-haves in your anti-aging arsenal. Stay tuned. That's coming up next. Okay, welcome back. In this video, we're going to be talking about some basic devices. So these are sort of holy grail, basic ride or die devices I feel like everybody needs in their routine. Now, I have been working with these technologies since, well, LED since 2001 and microcurrent since 2003. So if you want to get the basics, building blocks of skin rejuvenation, you want to have an LED and you want to have microcurrent in your routine. Why? Okay, so what does microcurrent do? Microcurrent helps tone the muscles of the face. But in addition to that, with continued use, it will thicken the skin. It will speed up cellular activity of the skin. It will help sweep out lymph, and it's generally it's just nice. It's a very tiny electric current. It doesn't hurt. If you have a device that's really snappy or it hurts you, consider getting one that doesn't. The Mini, it does not. It's not snappy or uncomfortable in any way. That's what I love about this device. So microcurrent. What all is this? You know, I'm going to look on the internet and see what it says about microcurrent now, because it's done nothing but grow in popularity. And by the way, excuse this. This is driving me crazy. I have been wearing masks lately a lot because COVID's going crazy again and up here. And anyway, yeah, so here the mask knee is back. But never fear, because usually for me, if I do just one LED treatment, this will get on out of here, just dries up and goes away, which is nice. So I wanted to look and see what the internet says about microcurrent lately. You know, it's done nothing but grow in popularity the last, I would say, 15 years. I think it hit the YouTube scene 5 years ago, 5, I don't know. But everybody likes that new face, and I'm like, well, there's better technology out there, but you go on with your bad self. Charlotte's book. Let's see what they have to say. So what is a microcurrent facial? Microcurrent facial is often referred to as a natural facelift. It's safe and painless and helps erase fine lines and wrinkles while firming the skin and defining your features. Exactly, yeah. So it's kind of like, you know, a workout for your face. There are some devices where you feel it more and some devices where you don't feel it as much. I prefer devices where you don't feel it, because really, true microcurrent, you don't feel. When I work on my clients, they fall asleep. It's not like I'm shocking them, you know. So true microcurrent falls in and or around the 500 microamps range, which is 500 millionths of an amp, right? So it's such a tiny current. It is sub-sensory. You do not feel it. So I think that's why it's been so popular, because, you know, you get that lifting effect, but you don't have to shock the crap out of your face to get there. Generally, some devices you'll feel as you get into the hairline, but true microcurrent is very pleasant. No muscles contracting. That's when you're getting way too high in current. When you start to see the muscles contract, you are out of microcurrent territory, because microcurrent does not tense muscles. It says a microcurrent facial emits extremely low voltage electric currents, hence microcurrent, which mirror your body's own electrical currents on a cellular level to repair damaged skin and stimulate collagen and elastin. True. They got it. I mean, I've heard so much garbage on the internet about microcurrent. I mean, it's not magic, but it is facial muscle lifting, which has the byproduct of thickening the skin and helping with elastin and collagen production. So yeah, that in a nutshell is what it's doing. So we are using micro currents of electric energy to lift the face. So that being said, that was from Charlotte's book, and I'm happy that they had that simple explanation. But we'll go ahead and do some microcurrent. So I am just going to put on, now with microcurrent, you always need a conductive gel. This is the one I sell. You can use, gosh, you can use mineral water. I mean, but you have to think about anything that has minerals in it is going to carry the current. You do not want to use distilled water. That will not work. But if you have minerals, you're conducting. So, and you don't want it to have too much oil. You want to keep it simple. So this is my azaline. It's called the Hydrolift, but it's got azaline in it, which is a blue flowering plant. It's found all over Europe and here in the States. Yeah, I got so many people asking me, what should I use as a conductive gel? What should I use as a conductive gel? I finally just went and had one made because I was like, I use this, I love it, let's introduce it to a bigger market, because I wanted people to use something nourishing on their skin, because microcurrent pushes products into your skin. So why not use something nourishing? Now, if you're super sensitive, like I said, you could use mineral water as long as it has minerals in it and you're conducting. However, why not take the opportunity to push really good things into our skin? Normally, I would put on maybe the Brighten the Day serum, or maybe even the Triple C Gold, cocktail that in and put it on my skin, let it absorb for a little bit, and then put on the conductive gel, so that while I'm working, this is how I do it professionally. That's how I do it to my clients, because I got 1 hour with them. I want to make them look rockin', so I want to push in all that goodness into their skin while I'm working. I don't want to waste any time. I want to maximize my results, right? So that's how I do it normally. Today, I just wanted to keep it simple and put in my conductive gel and get to work. Okay, so I'm using 2 minis. These are, they run around 340 microamps, but they have an interesting feature. They have a randomized frequency, and a frequency is basically how many times the current goes back and forth between the electrodes, right? Or the duty cycle, like how often that current zips back and forth. That can be slower, it can be faster, but generally if it's slower, it goes deeper into the tissues. And so they randomize that in this device. And this company, Clareblend, they are made in Reno, Nevada. They're in Reno, Nevada. They're a mom and pop company, and they've been around, God, they must have been around, I can't even remember, but it's years and years that they've been around, very long time. And I'm more or less following the guide routine, but since I'm talking, you know, I know the muscles of the face, so I am just aiming on lifting those. So yeah, Clareblend, who makes these, they are a mom and pop shop located here in the US. They're professional, they've been around a long time, but they make professional microcurrent devices for estheticians, nurses, doctors, so professional grade. So they're putting that high grade professional technology into these. And I think it's funny, if you look at a lot of the other professional lines, what they do, it's all about the sequencing, right? So there's Biotherapeutic, which makes nice microcurrent devices. They've been around for a good long time as well. They're out of Seattle, but the owner's name is Suzuki, Dave Suzuki, or something Suzuki. And sequencing is so important, or frequency, that they have a special thing called Suzuki sequencing. So like they have different sequences or frequencies to lift and to relax the muscles and to do this and to do that. And so Clareblend is like, well, why don't we just mix them all up and make them randomized so the skin doesn't, the muscles never acclimate, and it's always a good treatment. So yep. So I like that. These are easy to travel with. They're easy to figure out how to use. They all come with this little diagram. And the skin loves it. So if you're first starting out doing microcurrent and you're over 40, you're looking at 3 to 4 treatments a week, and I would say aim for a half an hour. I wouldn't go too crazy. I try to get through the routine. And then after about 2 months, you can start to taper and see how your skin does with 2 treatments per week, 1 treatment per week. Most of my clients need 1 or 2 a week. You see how that's starting to calm down? Yay! All right, so that's a little example. Now with this, you really want to go slow. These beep because they're timing mechanisms for each swipe. I go notoriously fast. Clareblend wants to kill me because I'm always going so fast on their, using their devices. So just know that the devices will beep every 10 seconds, and you're really supposed to do, you're supposed to wait for the double beep, and then you're done. All right. All right, so generally, if you were doing other modalities with microcurrent, you would want to do microcurrent last. And the thing is, you don't want anything to go in and relax the muscle after you've retrained it, re-educated it, and left it taut, right? So you want it to be up and taut in the retrained position. You don't want to go in and go in with a gua sha tool and relax the muscles again. You want to just leave it there, right? But what I've found over the years is that I can go in and do LED afterwards, and it doesn't relax that muscle. It's fine. So you can do LED before, you can do it after. My preference would be to do it before because it does help warm up the muscles, but I got ahead of myself and just did the mini this time. So you can do LED and microcurrent really in any direction, because I don't feel like, I've not seen that LED relaxes muscles at the end. I've just not seen that. However, if I had my preference, you doing it at home, do microcurrent last always. That being said, I'm going to do my LED now. So I went ahead and just washed off any excess product. And what I'm going to do now is really, when you do LED, although I usually like to keep products on the skin, but if you have anything that's occlusive, like all the products I put on, they were basically see-through, they were clear. But any LED manufacturer is going to say, you don't want refraction or anything to block the light's penetration. So I generally use all clear products. Like, they do have really cool jelly masks and all this fun stuff, but I generally don't ever use those, even though I love them. I just don't have the time to let them set up. I would rather be using all these electric modalities on people so that I really rev up their skin until the next time they see me, or at least for a few weeks, and a week, a few days in some cases. Yeah, you want to make sure that whatever you use with LED, if it's not on clean, dry skin, you want it to be clear. So for example, you can use the Brighten the Day right before an LED session. I use this all the time. It's wonderful. It helps brighten, and it works very well with LED. All right, so I'm going to start down here. And I feel like my skin needs something on it, so I'm just going to reapply my Conductive gel because I want some hydration on there right now. For me, it just feels better to use. And because my LED it's basically flat, it sits flat on the skin, I generally will use clear products underneath. So what's everybody got going on this weekend? Anything fun? Last week I was in Tampa at Isabel Brown's, and Isabel Brown is a jack of all trades. She has done so much stuff. I mean, mostly and always since the very beginning in the beauty industry. But she gave me a B12 shot, and I think I'm hooked because I felt like so blissful. Like, wow, traffic isn't like driving me crazy, and my daughter isn't driving me crazy, and everything is kind of serene. And this was even, like 2 days after I'd had it, and I had my brows and my lashes done, and it was just stressful. It's like a tattoo gun on your eyelid. It was just stressful, right? Um, just a lot of pain, and I'm a wimp, so a lot of people are like they fall asleep when she's doing it, but not me. I mean, it's stressful for me. It's stressful to the body, and so she gave me that shot, and I'm like, oh my god, that's so wonderful. So she's like, I'm gonna mail you two. So she's mailing me 2B12 shots, and I'm like, yeah, but that means I have to inject myself. I mean, when she did it to me, she did it like on the above my buttock, and I hardly even felt it go in. And then I guess it has a little numbing cream in there, so she or numbing something, and she puts it in slowly, and so I didn't feel it. She's like, if you just jam it in there, then you won't even be able to walk the next day. It's going to be so painful above your butt. So with this, you want to leave it from 3 to 8 minutes in one spot, and I generally do about 3 minutes, and that's saturation point. So yeah, that's coming tomorrow, and I'm like, how am I going to do that to myself? So I was looking online, and there is an esthetician that does them who works with a doctor, and they're fairly inexpensive. So I think I'm going to go have that done because I really felt blissful. It was very nice. Even though I had been through traveling and getting my face tattooed. So anyway, it's tomato season. Does anybody have any tomatoes? My mom just dropped off a bunch of beautiful Indiana tomatoes. God, I ate 2 yesterday just by myself, just as a snack. Actually, I think it was my lunch. You guys, I want to get back to the gym so bad. How's everybody doing with that? I mean, for my clients, I've seen that I'm not the only one that gained weight during the pandemic, but I'd like to start to get it off. I actually need a timer. Anyway, I'm not going to do it for the full 3 to 8 minutes each spot. I'm just going to talk to you guys, but you guys get the idea. So LED is interesting. Different colors do different things, and I tend to like more colors in the same treatment. And so because this has 3 different colors in it, so we've got red at 660, we've got amber and infrared. And the infrared you can't see. That's why it looks like every third one is not turned on, but it's on. That's infrared. So they're going to hit the skin at all these different levels, and different colors do different things, but they all increase cellular activity, increase cellular turnover. They help hydrate the skin from within. It's almost like photosynthesis with plants, but really Angie from Hot and Flashy, she's all convinced with LED, and they're not new. It's not new. This technology has been out for a long time. They're kind of new on YouTube, becoming more and more popular. Like they have collars and hand mitts, and it's interesting, the stuff that's out there. I tend to like things that wear very well, that I can throw in my suitcase and I'm fine. Now, this guy I love because it's lightweight and you can throw it in your suitcase, and it's just not, you don't have to worry about it getting creased up. I have a professional one that's huge. It's 1,800 LEDs and $1,800, but it's flexible. So what happened was the first incarnation of it was more like paper. Like the outside was more like paper, and it started to tear. It started to like crease and bend and rip all the way up the top on both sides. It's like, oh my God. And I complained about it in a video, and another esthetician said, they have a really good return policy. This is Illuminate, and I bought it from Shelley Hancock, who is an amazing esthetician out in California who sells high-end and interesting devices for estheticians. So I contacted her, and within a week I had a new one, and The newer one I noticed is not as paper-like on the outside. It's more rubbery. So it's like a big, yeah, it's like the other side is rubbery because I'm like, I'm sure that's happened before and they're like, we got to fix this. So it's nice. It's that one is so powerful. I love that one. So yeah, LED. I've seen LEDs do some really interesting things over the years. I remember I found my first one in 2001. It was $3,200, and it was just like this little tiny. It had like nineteen diodes in it. It was doing a treatment with that was like watching paint dry. It was the worst, but it was all there was. You know, it was that was it. It was that was cutting edge, and it was red and infrared. And I remember one time I used to do these demos at this high end gym in the penthouse of this building across the street in Miami, and I would, oh my god, this was years and years ago, and I would pile all this stuff up because my offices were part of a hotel complex that was like right downtown on the Miami River, and so they had these hotel trolleys, you know, like this big. They've got the big four wheels and the bars and stuff, and you can hang all your clothes, put all your suitcases and everything. They're huge trolleys. So I would put my little massage table on there, my little foldable massage table, and all my products and stuff that I would bring. And I just brought it all with me, right? And did demo after demo at this gym. And that's how I built my business in Miami. And so one night, it was late, and I have this trolley, and I'm going back. It's about 9:30 at night. I'm exhausted, and I want to take the trolley down these little steps. They were flat steps, but they were still steps. And I'm like, oh, that's not a good idea. But it was either that or walk all the way around this huge building. And so I tried to do the steps, and that first step, the trolley went and bonk and hit me. It hit me right here, hard. And I'm like, oh, I'm seeing stars. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to have the biggest bruise on my cheek. People are going to think I have an abusive boyfriend. I didn't have a boyfriend. I'm like, oh my God. So I went back to my office, my studio, and I just put my little 19 diode red infrared LED on that for like a half an hour. And the next day it was tender, but I was not bruised. No bruise whatsoever. I have so many stories like that with LED. LED does so much more than beauty. You know, they use it for other things. They use red LED for macular degeneration. They use LED for sports injuries. You can use it all over the body. Infrared is really good for aches and pains. It's so deeply penetrating. Yellow or amber is really good for fine lines and wrinkles. And I find it really good on pigmentation and also good on capillaries. And let's see, red 660, that is the most studied of all the colors. That's sort of like the workhorse of all the colors. Blue is good at killing off acne. Blue and green are also good at killing off acne, both those wavelengths. They say green is good in pigmentation. I have not really seen that. If you use blue by itself, you can get some transient pigmentation. I like to mix blue and red so that doesn't happen. There are some skin types that just can't do red LED at all. Like they get hyperpigmentation, transient pigmentation. I've not seen that in my practice, even on my darker clients, because I tend to pack on lots of antioxidants before and after. And then I put the LED on them, and they've got all these antioxidants to absorb any, because a lot of times when we get pigmentation, it will be like if it's a deeper level, if it's hormonally driven or more like melasma, that pops out even with heat when you're hot, when you sweat. So I could see the LED itself generally doesn't give off any heat. However, it's the interaction of the LED with the skin and the activity that it causes that makes it feel a little bit hot. Usually it's comfortable and no big deal. But yeah, even that little bit of heat can trigger pigmentation in some skin types, but I usually saturate the skin with antioxidants so that my clients, I've not seen that reaction. It's usually their skin looks very calm and clear, even toned when I'm done. Since it's August, it's back to basics month, and I just love LED and microcurrent. I have used them for years on my clients, and they can take the most dull, lackluster skin, oxygen starved skin, and make it beautiful. I've even used, God, back in the day, I would use plant grow lights while I did my whole facial contouring massage and everything, and I would just hold like this little cheapo light above the client for like 45 minutes, and even those didn't have much power. I did have one client that she'd had a scar from surgery. She'd had an eye lift, and she was in her 70s, and just that little bit of LED over, it was like a 6-week period, that all they faded. Like her eyelids became the same color, and the scar, the really telltale scar, faded. And I was like, that is pretty amazing. So between these two, she was able to fade some post-surgery scarring, even though she was in her 70s. It was really fantastic. So used on a regular basis, microcurrent and LED need to be, they can do so much for the skin, and they really need to be in your anti-aging arsenal. So thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye now.